Hi, my name is Michael Goddard. I'd like to introduce to you my project, Coding Bootcamp. Coding Bootcamp is an educational tool that seeks to solve a problem with programming education, and that problem is, for far too many students, it simply does not work. Studies have shown that between 30 and 60% of all introductory programming students will fail in their first class to form any kind of comprehensive understanding of programming. They will also fail to form a understanding of the very building blocks of programming, such as variables, arrays, loops, conditionals, scope, and functions. The root cause of this failure is frustration with errors like these. New students often spend far more time fighting the compiler than thinking logically about what their program should be doing. The end result of this is frustration and burnout, wherein new students often give up before they can form a real appreciation for the critical thinking and logic skills that really drive programming. The solution to this problem is to test students intellectually and let them use their critical thinking and logic skills to learn the fundamentals of programming without getting too far from the code which they'll eventually have to learn to write. This is where my project, Coding Bootcamp, steps in. Coding Bootcamp, at its core, is about the random and dynamic generation of programming logic problems. However, instead of asking the student to actually write code, Coding Bootcamp instead provides the student with a completed or nearly completed program and simply asks the student to follow along or make some minor. The problem generation is random in that each problem is generated randomly on the fly as the student requests it. As such, there's essentially an infinite amount of problems for the student to complete, so they can learn at their own pace. The problem generation is dynamic in that each problem's difficulty is carefully calibrated to align with the student's competency level, giving them a significant challenge but without getting them frustrated. Perhaps the best way to understand the generation is to step through an example. This is an example of a nesting problem that tests the student's understanding of loops and conditionals and how they interact. As you can see, the question simply asks the student to follow along with the execution and figure out what the function returns. If you are at all familiar with programming, this would be a very easy question, but for a new student it can be a good test. You can also see here the custom-built pseudocode-like language that I have built for the project. This language is easy to use and easy to learn no matter what language the student's primary instruction is in. This allows the student to get going very quickly and start doing problems right off the bat. The problem generation is varied and powerful and can create problems in a wide range of topics, beginning with the simplest variable declaration and manipulation, but also touching the variety of fundamentals and even reaching recursion. These are just a handful of the types of problems that can be generated by Coding Bootcamp. In addition to multiple choice questions, the project can also generate fill-in-the-blank problems. Fill-in-the-blank questions allow us to narrow in on an even smaller topic, such as the multiple pieces of a for loop declaration. All of this is easily accessible through an easy-to-use, online web application. Let's step through a few problems right here. I'm currently logged in to the website's homepage. Let's go ahead and click on the problems link. As you can see, this student is currently on array problems. As this question is rather straightforward, I'm going to go ahead and click on the correct answer. And just like that, we've completed a question. Doing problems through Coding Bootcamp is really that easy. Students who complete problems like those and the rest of the Coding Bootcamp curriculum will have formed a solid understanding of the fundamentals of programming. They will have gotten past that initial hump that many new students get stuck on and will be ready to move on towards more advanced classes. Due to the global IT revolution, demand for skilled programmers is higher than ever. In fact, U.S. News & World Report recently ranked software engineer as the #1 career in America due to that soaring demand. Students who complete the Coding Bootcamp curriculum will be well on their way to meeting that demand and towards a rewarding and prosperous computer science education and career. That was a quick overview of my project, Coding Bootcamp.